Right, today we've got Martin King of SW6 Blues, Pride of London. He's here to speak today about where the casual scene started. Now, this is going to put the cat amongst the pigeons because it's widely accepted. It started up north when you had all the Scousers going over to Europe, nicking all the gear, and they brought it back to England. Now, you've got something to say about this, Martin, haven't you?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
You don't agree with this concept at all.
That's bollocks. That's an absolute fucking rot. Put it mildly, that's bollocks. Because, listen, I first went up to Liverpool when I was about 14, 15 to watch Chelsea play. We was all in the skinhead gear, smart, Harrington jackets, state breasts, Ben Shermans, Brutus, Dr. Martins. We got up there. Not many, probably 200 on the special. Not many fans, London fans in them days would travel up north to watch a game. We went up there, and the older lads amongst us said, "Look, boys, all stick together. Now, you could just pay 2 and 6 or 5 bob or whatever it was in them days to get in the terraces." We talked about going on the cop and thought better of it, so we went up the Anfield Road in. And when we got up there, we couldn't believe how fucking scruffy they was. They had donkey jackets on, and what we call a Mitcham tuxedo, a jean jacket and a pair of jeans. We call it the Mitcham tuxedo. Like a suit of jeans and jean jacket. And they were scruffy. They had like bumper boots on you'd buy in Woolworths, or Tesco bomber jeans you could buy in Tesco's, or you get a book of Green Shield stamps and swap them for a pair of jeans. They were scruffy, real scruffy. They didn't have any of the gear on we had on. So what they used to do is nick your gear. Anybody coming up from London, they would nick your gear. They would nick your coat. The sheepskins was in them days. So if it was winter, you'd have a Crombie on overcoat or a sheepskin. They were renowned or well known for stealing your clothes, the Scousers.
Okay, and so when it kicked off, the Scousers or stroke the Northerners would tax your gear. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I've sat on a train with a kid in his pants, and that's the gospel truth, where he'd been robbed of his shirt, his jacket, his Levi state breast, his Dr. Martin boots. He got back on the train in his pants, right? That's a true story. Listen, so they were well known for being scruffy bastards. They had long hair. They was like hippies. They'd never, you look at, I'll speak about it from now. So what you're saying, yes, they did go robbing when they was in Europe. Yeah. But we had the gear before that. I speak to Jasper in Huddersfield. I speak to Angus in Bristol. Where did people come from who were they wanted nice clothes? They come shopping in London. I never heard anybody say, "Oh, I must go up to Liverpool to get some nice clothes." Nobody.
True.
You went to Regent Street or South Molton Street or Sloane Street.
That shop near QPR's ground where everyone used to go?
Stewart's.
And obviously, I've been told, I've never been there myself, but I've been told that once you got your gear, actually walking out of there was heavy because you'd have people waiting to tax you.
Oh, of course, that's true. Yeah. But Stewart's was one of the first ones. Now let me just go to something, and then we'll come and we're back to what you've just said. Yes, the Scousers. Right. Okay, mate. We'll go from the start. Yeah. Right. Originally, the first fashion after the Second World War finished, 1945 or whatever, you had the Teddy Boys who wore draped coats, brothel creepers. You wouldn't remember what I'm saying. And then you had the bikers, the greasers with leather jackets, and then you had the hippies with their long hair and cheesecloth shirts and sandals on and all that going. Yeah. And then you had the mods. Well, the mods wore sort of like handmade suits, cashmere jumpers. They were really smart. They wore desert boots.
Yeah.
Had scooters with all mirrors on and all that. So the mods was all about looking smart. The greasers it's cheap to be a greaser, leather jacket and a pair of embroidery jeans. The Teddy Boys are gone. The hippies were sort of drifting out. And along come the skinheads. Now, the skinheads wore original skinheads. I'm talking about, I was a skinhead. We wore, like combat trousers, they were green army trousers. They were called jungle greens. They had no pockets on the thighs, just like army trousers. And with them, you wear a pair of monkey boots, or not even Dr. Martens were in there. They were commando boots, still toe caps. Hence, you'll see photographs of the police taking laces out of boots because they were still toe caps.
I've actually seen a photo. I think it was outside Chelsea. They actually used to take the boots off you, didn't they?
Yeah, that's it, because they were still toe cap. So we didn't have Dr. Martin. So it was based on, apparently, it started in the East End of London, that look, where you had big chunky cardigans with them like wooden buttons, looked like chocolate, and they wore granddad vests, and then Fred Perry's, right, with braces, with the jungle greens or Levi's. Now, Levi's, they were like cardboard. You had to get in the bath. They were about £3 or £4 a pair from America, and you had to sit in the bath to shrink them and get the dye out. Because that was like cardboard. Right. So that was the look. Right. That was the original skinhead look. From then, it went into Levi Stay Press, Harrington jackets. Harrington jackets were made popular by Ryan O'Neill, an American actor who was in an American series called Peyton Place. He wore a jacket, a golf flight jacket, and his name was Rodney Harrington. So everyone had the Harrington jacket, right? Now, let's move on from there. As skinheads were wearing Ben Shermans, which didn't come in checks originally. They were stripes or plain colours. Then Brutus come along with the little hook on the back, the little button on the back, button-down collar, the V on the sleeves with the 2 buttons. That was the look. Right. Now, when I first went to Arsenal, v Man United, about 1968, 69, Man United had half the North Bank. I was a nosy little fucker, so I used to go to all the big games in London. I was standing behind 3 skinheads, and I was looking with my mate, Tony. I said, have a look at them shirts. What's them shirts they got on? And we was looking at these shirts, so I tapped one on the shoulder. I said, what's that shirt you got on, mate? He looked at me. He was like probably about 17, 18. I was about 13. He says, a Ben Sherman. I said, where'd you get them? He said, there's only a few shops in London you can get them. Anyway, so I tracked one down and went out with paper brown money and my milk brown money and went and bought one. And the sleeveless jumpers was in there, Levi Stay Press. Dr. Martin boots had come in there, and the best ones were the ones with the green stitching round, the yellow stitching round the sole. So a monkey boots were still in, and Harrington jackets, Crombie, sheepskins. You wore a blue beat hat, which was like a pork pie hat, Jamaicans. So anyway, so that was the fashion. So still, this fashion hadn't reached Liverpool when I got up there, 68, 69, age about 14, 15. But then after that, the skinheads morphed into suede heads, which I've sent you a picture of. Suede heads wore Rupert the Bear check trousers, loafers, fringe and buckle loafers, which had a little fringe and a buckle on the side and with tassels on. Wet look Gibsons had a weave in the middle. You wore them with nice trousers. Rupert the Bear check, they were called, like just to check trousers very loud. Or Doctor Who trousers, some people called them. And then that was a suede head look. That morphed in from skinheads to suede head. And then there was a series on the telly called Budgie, which starred Adam Faith, and he wore a sort of suede jacket, and he wore clogs and flared trousers and a Mickey Mouse T-shirt and a Mickey Mouse watch. So that was the other look. And then from there, lots of things were influenced. Kids were influenced by American TV cop series like Shaft, Richard Roundtree. He was a black detective, wore a long black leather coat with a belt round it. Right. All the kids went out and bought black leather coats like Max, but in leather. And then Starsky and Hutch come along. I suppose you remember them. And one of them wore what they called a Mexican cardigan, which was a cardigan with a belt wrapped around it. That was about a £5. All shops sold them in London. And still, the Scousers hadn't. You were still going up to Manchester.
I can't. You talk about Starsky and Hutch. I can't remember if it was Starsky or Hutch that always wore a pair of Adidas trainers.
That's it. That was who was the one who was the singer? That was Hutch, wasn't it? Yeah.
He had the cardigan, and he had the blue Adidas trainers, didn't he?
That's it. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. But still, the fella, and then you had the high waistband trousers, double belt on them. People were going to all the exclusive shops in London to get this gear. I didn't hear anyone going to Liverpool to get it. And then the tennis gear come in. There's that company, 80s Casuals. I think that's the wrong name because all that tennis gear, Fila, Elise, Tashini, Lacoste, that all come out in the late 70s, not the 80s.
Okay.
So we'd already had, by the 80s come, it was back to skinheads, flight jackets, blue flight jackets with orange lining, green flight jackets with orange lining. Still, the Scousers weren't wearing that. So what they robbed in the late 70s and took back to Liverpool, it wasn't actually in the shops in Liverpool. The thieving bastards had nicked it in Paris or Rome, and Fiorucci was out then, was wearing Fiorucci jeans. Yeah. And then Lyland Scott, Pringle, Cavici, all that lot all came along. Everyone was wearing diamond jumpers.
I've heard, and obviously I wasn't about them, but I've heard the shops in Europe, they actually used to put both trainers out.
Yeah.
So it was rife for thieving, basically. And a lot of people did what they did. They made some money. I don't judge them. It was part of the culture. I mean, that's what happened. But 80s casual.
So what I'm saying to you about this casual look, and I'll tell my final thing. What I'm going to say is that was the tennis gear that was nicking, the feeler, all the other stuff I spoke to you before. They never wore any of that stuff, none of it. So how did they start? I'll tell you where the casual scene started. The first time I noticed it was at Highbury, Arsenal Man United, with the Ben Shermans, right? But in 1965, there was a geezer called John Simons. He was a Jewish fella, and he worked at Cecil G up in central London, which is a big men's clothes shop at the time, which was an exclusive men's shop. They were done really nice cloth. Well, he then opened up a shop in Richmond, which is in the outskirts of London, in Surrey, very affluent area, very middle to high class.
Yeah,
he opened a shop called the Ivy Shop in 1965, right? And in that shop, he sold Arrington jackets. He went out to America with Cecil G to do some buying and looking at fashion in America. And he saw the college boy look, which was Levi stay press, cashmere jumpers, check button-down collar shirts, loafers, brogues, Harrington jackets, real smart, casual American look. He brought that into his shop. He was the first person really to bring Ralph Lauren over in 1965. So imagine that. So all this look, Barracuda made the Harrington jackets as well. They was the original Harrington jacket.
Still about now.
With a wavy line, the original, you put your hand up the back, your fingers up the back of it, check lining. They were the original Barracuda, still going now, as you say. Well, he opened up this shop in Richmond, in Surrey, near the Thames, and he absolutely smashed it. People from everywhere were going to buy stuff at John Simmons' shop, the Ivy Shop. His son now runs it. I think it's called something else. He also opened up the Village Gate and the Squire shop in London at the time. And the other shops there at the time were Reese and Stanley Adams. Reese was at Liverpool Street and King's Road, and Stanley Adams was in the King's Road. They were the main shops what people who wanted to be the casual. That was the original casual shop, and others from John Simmons' shop in 65 then spread out. Still never heard anyone say Bristol, Huddersfield, Leeds, Plymouth, Portsmouth, oh, let's go up to Liverpool and buy some clobber. So I think all this bollocks they come out with about starting the casual scene is absolute shite. And they know it. They know it.
That Scousers on the phone now.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, wanted to buy some clobber off them. But so that was it really. So that's my view. That's my own personal opinion. And other people who from around the country, when you say to them that the Scouts have started up the casual scene, they laugh. Because anyone who went up there in the 60s and the early 70s, into the 80s, don't get me wrong, the music from Liverpool, from the Beatles to Teardrop Explodes to China Crisis, fantastic. Great music, but fashion-wise, forget about it.
Okay.
They were never the leaders in fashion, and they never have been the leaders in fashion. A lot of fashion passing by.
Martin. Obviously, to pick your brains and to challenge you. This is what interviews are all about. Now, you had a character called Wade Smith that went over, because you've not talked a lot about trainers. You've talked a lot about shoes. There's a character called Wade Smith, who it's well known, went over to Europe, bought a load of Adidas trainers back in a van and sold out in Liverpool at the time. Adidas trainers are very well linked with the terrace culture. So what I want to say to you really is the skinhead culture, can you sort of pin a time down when it stopped being skinheads? Because skinheads ruled the terrace, not saying that. They obviously did. But could you pin down a time when it started changing to these lads that were in feeler tops and drain, and Adidas?
I can understand what you're saying, but the skinheads really started about 67, as I said, with jungle greens, Levi's, steel toe cap boots, granddad shirts, big chunky cardigans. It was I was going to say, it started in the East End. Apparently, the young boys over the East End were copying what their dads went to work in over the docks. That was it. So That's how it started. And by 71, 72, you know, you had T-Rex and Slade and Sweet and all that glam rock stuff, Alice Cooper. Yeah. People wouldn't, but that's when the suede head look started coming in. And then boys after the suede head look, everyone grew their hair longer, wore cheesecloth shirts. People talk about the, you know, like the rave scene, killed football hooligans. You know, you've got blokes dressing like with long hair, with glitter on their faces. Oh, I never had all that shit. Platform boots, platform shoes, looms trousers, like great big flared trousers, cheesecloth shirts you buy for £1 in these. So it went from skinheads to suede head to the hippie look. And then all of a sudden, people started dressing like Ronnie Corbett with Pringle jumpers on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but that's what it was. The fashion changed so quick. But what my point is, I'm going all the way along, coming round to John Simmons' shop in the Ivy shop at Richmond, is that with all these changes in fashion, I went back to Liverpool in the 80s and they were still scruffy bastards. They were still wearing jean jackets and jeans.
The same fashion.
The same fashion had never changed. And a lot of northern towns were the same. They weren't fashion. I mean, as I said earlier, and I still stick by it, they didn't start the casual scene. And anybody who knows clothes will tell you that it was absolute rubbish. I mean, even like the what's it called? Like in the 80s was Spandau Ballet and Duran Duran and the New Romantic. But that never caught on the thing. But there were people dressing like that. But that all went past Liverpool. Every fashion from the 60s, from the greasers and the you know, like the mods and rockers, they'd fight in Margate, they'd fight in Brighton, they'd fight on the beaches on the south coast. I didn't hear them fighting up in Liverpool on the beaches or Morecambe or Blackpool because it didn't get up there.
No.
You know, you look at it logically, yes, they did go thieving because that's the nature of football fans, not just Scousers. If Chelsea had been in the European Cup in them days, or Arsenal or West Ham or Millwall, they'd have done the same thing. Right. But what they nicked, they kept. Same as the Manchester boys. They was the top thieves at the time. They would come down to London to nick the gear and go away with Man United and nick the gear. Yeah. So I don't get how they started the casual scene. Okay. They started the Stanley Blade scene, but we leave that there. And that's the end of it. But they didn't start any casual scene at all. So there you go.
Okay, Martin. I want to ask you another question. Between the London firms, you've already mentioned Arsenal, but now I'm talking about the casual scene where it was Fila, Sergio Tacchini, you had Adidas trainers, your drainpipe jeans, and all the rest of it. Who were the best dressed firms, Martin? You know, who did you know were really smart?
But you know what you just said about Fila and Tacchini and all that, and all these like these terrace wear, not terraces or whatever they're called, and 80s casuals. Yeah, they not a lot of people wore that gear really. You know, you didn't really go. No, it wasn't such as big as what these companies are making out. I was there, and there weren't people dressed like Bjorn Borg or John McEnroe at the tennis. Now and again, you'd see someone with a chip. But it weren't as big, or people are getting nostalgic. I'm going to get a Fila top because that's what I wore. I'm thinking, you never fucking wore a Fila top or a Tacchini top or Lacoste. No, it wasn't everybody dressed in that gear. But more people wore the Pringle stuff and the Cabici stuff from Stewart's up at Uxbridge Road than that Fila stuff. That Fila stuff never really caught on. You know, it ain't like now you go football and you see loads of youths and people with a Stone Island jacket on, loads of snide stuff as well. But no, that Fila stuff weren't really as big as what these companies nowadays are making out. You know, Adidas trainers, they've been about the donkey's years. Yeah. But when they really took off was the original Gazelles. Like when they came out, late 70s, Diodora were big, Puma were big, Slazenger. When I was growing up as a teenager, you wanted Slazenger or Puma. Then Adidas come along. All they done was black and white. The original 3 stripes, white stripes on a black trainer. Then the Gazelles come out and you had green and blue and red and all sorts. And they really took off. And that's what kick-started the Adidas trainers was the late 70s, sort of 76, 77. Yeah.
And you've mentioned other labels as in Slazenger, which I mean I didn't really know about because they've gone sort of to the cheaper end of the market with Sports Direct and all the rest of it. you did mention a little bit a way back about people said that the rave scene actually killed the hooligan scene.
Yeah.
With these, were you still going to watch football when the rave scene kicked in, and did you notice a big change?
No.
Was there a lot of people? Were they instead going to raves instead of going to football?
No, never. Not one of my mates ever went raving and all that bollocks. Drugs has always been about, not as prevalent as it is now with Charlie and Ease and all that.
Of course.
But none of my mates, no one I went to football, we went to all this rave shit. The only people who went to raves were people who were making the money. And all the diddlos who followed them doing their silly dancing and that. I don't get on this Northern Soul thing. Oh, Northern Soul's back. It was never fucking here, let alone come back.
Right.
Doing this silly dancing on bits of lino and putting talcum powder down.
That's the one.
What, we're having a fucking fit or something. I didn't know anyone who went to a rave. You might get all these students think, oh, we're going to follow this type for 300 miles and no drinking and pay 15 quid to get in and have a knee and dance till 1 o'clock in the afternoon
for a bottle of water. Yeah.
Well, there you go. It all past me and all the lot I'll go with pastors by. A load of shit.
A generational thing, Martin, to be honest.
But it probably is, Matt. You've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
But people
was a massive subculture. It
was like Northern Soul. It was a subculture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People who were older than me would probably think we were mad when we went and watched Saturday Night Fever. So
yeah. I think that it's definitely a generational thing, and I think that different generations, you get different music, you definitely get different clothes. I mean, when we've talked about, we had an interview earlier about these little independent labels that have actually they actually like the football scene. They're actually making clothes for football lads. With the Stone Island and stuff, did you think it all got a little bit samey towards the end?
Still samey, isn't it? It's ridiculous. You've got, people want to, they think, I went to a cup final when they moved it from Wembley to Cardiff, and we went to go into a pub in Cardiff, and a few of the boys I was with, including myself, 20 years ago, I suppose, we had Stone Island. Some of us had Stone Island hoodies on, some had Stone Island jackets, and the doorman said, do you mind taking the badge off your arm? I said, well, we ain't going to hit it with no one. He said, no, we don't let Stone Island wearers in the pub.
Really?
Can you take the badge off and put it in your pocket? And we all went, mate. But he said, no, it's not nothing. It's about the label because it identifies you as football hooligans. Said, not really, mate. You could get someone who come in who's scruffy, who's probably the best fighter in the firm, don't wear the gear.
Yeah.
No, but this is our policy in the pubs in Cardiff. You can't come in with... and there's pubs in London at football grounds where they won't let you in wearing Stone Island. You have to take the badge off.
So you've just paid £400 for a Stone Island sweatshirt and they're asking you to take the label off?
Yes. Because they don't want you to... Or they don't want the bar or pub or other people, other customers... picking you out as a football hooligan. That's their policy, that's not my words.
Stone Island got so associated with football hooligans.
Whether they're putting their prices up to move away, they are moving away from the football because you can't afford $2.5 grand. Who'd pay $2.5 grand to go to wear a coat of football, get in a row and have the sleeve ripped off?
Exactly.
Or the hood ripped off.
Yeah.
Or the badge ripped off and rip your arm off. That's going to cause a problem. But no, I just think Stone Island's old hat now. It's been done, worn it. I've been wearing it since '84. I have been wearing it from '84. I just think it's a bit tired and predictable
now. I think so too, Martin. I really do.
I'm like you. I like the little stuff now, like this T-shirt, Away Days Apparel.
Definitely. I think the independent labels that are made by football lads for football lads is the way to go.
Got to back them. Got to back them. 100%.
You have to back them. Okay, Martin, it's been interesting. Right.
Yeah.
I think this interview will put the cat amongst the pigeons, so to speak.
Yeah.
The Northerners ain't going to like it, and it's definitely the Scousers aren't going to like it. And I'm sure we're going to have many comments that are going to say this interview was all bollocks and
Yeah,
blah, blah,
right.
blah.
Whatever. Yeah.
But, you know, with freedom of speech, and obviously we can answer the comments, so do comment if you think any different of what Martin said today. Okay, so that was Martin King of Chelsea, from SW6 Blues Pride of London, in association with UK Casuals. There'll be more videos coming soon.